So recently, Will.i.am was on Sway in the Morning with Sway Calloway on Shady 45. And they got in this discussion about MCing. And Will.i.am said that he thought that Black Thought from the Roots is a trillion times better as an MC than Jay-Z. And Sway was like, a trillion times better? And he's like, yeah. And Will explain why he felt like Black Thought was better than Jay-Z. And it was a very good reason, right? So I was like, wow, that's interesting. So I didn't think anything else of it. I was like, well, that's a good controversial topic. And now Jadakiss, he has his podcast with Fat Joe. He was basically saying that not Will Smith, Will.i.am is not hip hop. Well, Will Smith gone through that too back in the day. But he was saying how Will.i.am is not hip hop, and who is he to say who's better? It's like a lot. Will.i.am and Jadakiss are both 50 years old. One's about to turn 50. And they both grinded it out before they became stars. They both grinded it out. Jada grinded it out in New York with the Warlocks, which would become the Locks. And Will.i.am grinded it out in Los Angeles. He's from East LA. So they was both grinding it out, and then they both found the Locks found their success early in the late 90s. And the Black Eyed Peas finally found their success in around 2003, 2004. But they still had to grind on it. And to me, I came through an era where you could be Judged After the French Prince and Public Enemy. You could be Boogie Down Productions and Two Live Crew. You can be Kwame and Heavy D and the DOC, or Light and Salt and Pepper, or Queen Latifah. I came from an era where diversity was fine. You could be an MC Hammer and be a Too Short, and both from Oakland. That's my idea of hip hop. It's not just one thing. And Jada feels like just because the Black Eyed Peas has had global domination for their particular brand of hip hop, which is more dance oriented and more of a worldview oriented view of hip hop, I don't understand why you're knocking this brother just because he had an opinion. It's not a popular opinion, but it's his opinion. And again, we got into this weird space with Jay-Z where people automatically feel like Jay-Z is the greatest rapper ever. And Jay's great. We all love Jay. Jay's a fantastic lyricist. But if you look at even the time period of the Blueprint and the Black Album, even if you look at that time period, you wouldn't say at that point that he was the greatest ever. Even on What More Can I Say, he said, I should be number one on everybody's list. Because he was fighting that, because everybody was basically saying number one was either Biggie, Pac, Rakim, even Nas to a certain extent. Jay wasn't really talked about, 2000 to 2003, he really wasn't talked about as the greatest ever. And even when you look at that time period, look at the people he had to go up against. So it was Jay-Z, Nas, DMX, Eminem, and Three Stacks. You had Andre 3000 out there. Even when I tell you this name, do you automatically say Jay-Z? Or do you have to think about it? It's like, man, that's a list. Who's number one? Even if you say it's Jay, would you automatically say he's number one? No. And Jay's great. Jay's great. The only thing that Jay did that I hate is that his ability to go into the booth and just freestyle off the top of his head. That is fantastic. That's a wonderful gift. But now a lot of rappers feel like they can do the same thing and they suck. And keep in mind, Jay worked up to that. I remember Jay when he was in the Jazz-O's video for Hawaiian Sophie. Jay grinded for a long time too. He grinded in the same era as the Locks and Will.i.am. Now, if you don't know Will.i.am's story, he's from East LA, and he was a b-boy, breakdancer, rapper, and then he was signed to Ruthless Records when Eazy-E was still alive. Before he signed Bone Thugs, Eazy signed Will.i.am, because Will.i.am and Apple the App, who's also in the Black Eyed Peas, had a group together, and he signed them. They made that album, didn't come out, and then Eazy died. And I think what happened was Will and App probably made an album, and then Bone Thugs hit, and I think everything went towards Bone Thugs, as it should be. Bone Thugs were great. So Eazy dies, they get out of their contract, they meet Taboo, and then they form Black Eyed Peas. At that point, they're backpack rappers. They are the bridge between A Tribe Called Quest and Kanye West. There's a whole, kids, if you don't know what a backpack rapper is, just type in backpack rappers of the 90s, and you will see a lot of great talent. So they're backpack rappers, and they had that one hit, That's the Joint, That's the Jam. Fantastic song, but it wasn't a major hit. But in the process, it was in the underground scene in Los Angeles, the hip hop scene, alternative hip hop scene in Los Angeles, and they always used female singers. Even before Fergie, they was using female singers. So then they make that album, That one album when it has "Where's the Love" with Justin Timberlake, and then they hook up with Fergie, and then they finally hit that success in around 2003, 2004, right? But they've been grinding. Will.i.am's been grinding since the early 90s, just like most hip hop people. This whole thing about what's hip hop and what's not is just ridiculous to me. I remember MC Hammer went through that all the time. When it wasn't his fault, you can't touch this hit. But then he started doing commercials for Kentucky Fried Chicken and all that stuff. He's like, oh my God, he's a sellout. Now you can't go anywhere without people talking about their brand. And Hammer's a far better hip hop artist than a lot of these men and women are today. I just hate this thing about what's hip hop and what's not. It doesn't make sense to me. So Will.i.am, when he was in that interview with Sway, he gave his top 5. Now it wasn't just like he was just banging on Jay. He said, this is my top 5. And he said, KRS-One's number 1, Rakim's number 2, Big Daddy Kane, Nas, and he had Black Thought at number 5. He didn't have Black Thought at number 1. He said KRS is number 1. And then he brought up Pharaoh Monk. If Will.i.am isn't hip hop, how does he know Pharaoh Monk? If he's not hip hop, how does he have KRS-One and Big Daddy Kane? If he was egotistical, a lot of people say, well, I'm going to put myself at number 5. No, he didn't even put himself on the list. He put the heavy hitters on that list, man. But let's talk about Black Thought. The person that's getting disrespected the most, because people say, oh, Will.i.am doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to hip hop. So that means Black Thought isn't one of the greatest rhymers ever? Go watch that Funkmaster Flex freestyle that Black Thought had, where he rhymed for like 10 minutes. 10 minutes straight without pausing. Black Thought is a beast. A beast. Now, he's been part of the Roots the whole time. And maybe because he's on Late Night with Jimmy Fallon with Quest, that people don't think of him as MC, because most people don't seek out the Roots albums like they used to. But man, if you had a battle between Jay-Z, just a hip-hop, not a verses, but they had like a straight freestyle battle between Jay and Black Thought, it's not a slam dunk that Jay would win. They'd probably go head-to-head, and Jay might win. But Black Thought is like a human thesaurus, man. That dude is absolutely amazing. He's amazing. So when you're saying like Will.i.am doesn't understand hip-hop, that means you're saying that Will.i.am isn't hip-hop, Jadakiss. So when you see Jada, and I love Jada. I love like 24 Hours to Live. I love Knock Yourself Out that he did with Melissa Ford in that video. And I love Why with Anthony Hamilton. And then my favorite Locks collabo, We Gonna Make It. I love We Gonna Make It. It's like one of my favorite tunes ever. I love Jada. But if Jada, what are you gonna say to Black Thought if you run into him? You saying that Black Thought's not hip hop just because Will.i.am said it? You don't think Black Thought's a dope ass MC who can outrhyme most people? Isn't that his fault he wasn't able to get the crossover? Now, Jada acts like Will.i.am said, you know who's a trillion times better than Jay-Z? Chingy. Right there. And Will.i.am said, no offense to Chingy, I love right there. But if he said like Chingy is a million times better than Jay-Z, that's a totally different discussion. He said Black Thought. So what you guys think? So people always like, oh yeah, Jada's right. Jada's not right. Listen, he's not wrong for protecting Jay. Because especially if he thinks Jay is better than Black Thought, that's totally fine. And maybe Will shouldn't have said a trillion times better. Maybe he should have just said, you know who I think is a stronger MC. But he said a trillion times better. So maybe a trillion's a bit much. But I'm telling you, this discussion is ridiculous because Black Thought is one of the dopest rhymers ever. So I ask you, I'm not asking you who you like better, Black Thought or Jay, because I probably lean more towards Jay. But give me your top 5 MCs. I gave you Will.i.am's top 5 MCs. It was KRS-One, Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, Nas, and Black Thought. Who's in your top 5? And going back to Nas for a second, since everybody wants to say Jay is the best ever, Ether by Nas knocked Jay out. When they had that beef back in the day, and we all know it. And Jay's great on the mic. Fantastic on the mic. But Ether was almost like the kill shot. And Jay came back with Super Ugly, wasn't the same. Wasn't the same. And shout out to Nasir Jones. Nasir Jones put out Illmatic, what, 94? And he's still putting out really good hip-hop albums. I don't know how old Nas is. I don't know if Nas is 50 yet. And one more thing about Nas. We always talking about Jay when it comes to business. Go Google Queensbridge Ventures. That's Queensbridge Ventures. That's Nas's investment group. And Jay's great with business. Go look at the investments that Queensbridge Ventures done over the past few years. The investments and the documentaries that he did under his film company. It is fantastic. Shout out to Nas. Shout out to Will.i.am. Shout out to Jadakiss. I love Jada, but brother, you wrong. you owe us, our West Coast brother, an apology. Because in a lot of ways, with that b-boy culture, Will.i.am is just as hip hop as Jadakiss, and maybe, just maybe, a little bit more.